there's no doubt Max Keiser's prediction has come true. He said that about 3 years ago, he said you would see the collapse accelerate within 3 years. He's a former top stockbroker, inventor of the Hollywood Stock Exchange virtual trading system that's the basis of what's used on most stock exchanges today. And he said about 6 months ago, he said by April of next year, the collapse will be completely evident that it's accelerating. And they're not going to tell you there's a collapse, but there's currency crises. They're already raiding public and private pension funds. The consumer confidence is imploding. They're going after people's 401ks. Obamacare has a 401k, 3.8% tax in it. And my dad's in healthcare management. He said, this is designed to hurt poor people. He said, it's unbelievable how it's meant to get rid of Medicare and Medicaid and then make you get insurance, and it doubles the first year, and then $5,000 a year. I mean, that's just devastating. And it's so brutal to understand this tyranny. It's not just a tyranny that has tyranny to be in power. You've had a lot of tyrannies like that, and they're bad. This is a scientific tyranny where they've decided to go all the way and just be so evil no one can overthrow them. And they call that the final revolution, Bertrand Russell and others. George Orwell, who was part of the Fabian Socialist and led into their group, real name Eric Blair, he wrote about O'Brien. Again, it's an allegory, torturing O'Brien, that's the symbol of the British press, into submission. And saying it doesn't matter. It's trampling and being trampled on, a boot stomping on the human face. You think, gravity matters? We could create a parallel system to suspend gravity and have people believe it. We are the priest of power. We want to tear everything apart because that's what we like. The journey is the destination. And this is false mental illness being projected onto us by unhappy, inbred, mentally ill aristocracy and the bureaucracies they've created that are fully weaponized and fully turned over to darkness. Now, I've got some of the financial news here. I'm going to mention some headlines and go to Max Keiser at maxkeiser.com, TV and syndicated radio host. G20 summit to focus on currency war, threat to economy. These are the people. This is like the foxes having a meeting about the hens that got killed last night, so they can then act like the saviors and give you more solutions, more power for them. Funds run low for health insurance in state high-risk pools. The banks that own the insurance companies wrote it. And again, it's so incredible that people are being raped by Obama, who's a puppet, and they're thanking him for it because he's fighting the Tea Party racist. Frustrated Madoff now second-guessing his guilty plea, pointing out that everything he does is what the mainstream banks do. Yeah, but you're a low-level guy, buddy. They needed somebody to go to jail. Central banks buy the most gold since 1964, as Keiser predicted. Higher taxes puts the brakes on retail shopping, CNBC. See, of course, and again, I saw John Paul DeJoria, who's a self-made billionaire, going, Obama, when you raise taxes on, it's going to hurt the economy. Why don't you wake up? Don't you care? Of course he knows. This is scorched earth. Bankrupt us. Bring us into submission. Overrun us with illegals who'll work for nothing. Not even bashing the illegals. They're part of the cold-blooded tool. They've already forced them off their land all over Mexico, made them go to Mexico City to live in hell, to force them up here. And then play us off against each other. And it just goes on and on. I bring you Max Keiser. Max, we could be like Argentina, which is where we're going, or Greece. They'll still tell us we left the recession 4 years ago. I want you to break down the latest news, where we are on the DEFCON clock here. Have we gone to the highest DEFCON yet? Max Keiser.
Hey, Alex, great to be on with you, with your global audience of millions. Well, as you know, 7 months ago or so, I made a very aggressive prediction of a huge collapse by April of this year. So we've got 2 months left on that prediction. It's a very aggressive prediction. What we have in the mix right now, we do have the currency wars. That is become a headline that is splashed all over newspapers around the world. The various countries are trying to debase their own currency. They are, in effect, it's a firing squad lined up in a circle.
It's a race to the bottom, exactly as Ross Perot warned us.
Yeah, and now at the G20 meeting, they all explained how this was a good thing because they're just helping each other's export business, and it's not about a trade war, and it won't devolve into a hot war. But Of course, that's false. What the truth of the reality here is that they're still allowing the Japanese yen to collapse more than any other currency because it provides the cheapest source of funds for these governments to engage in buying each other's sovereign debt. Because since the collapse of 2007, 2008, since the Lehman Brothers collapsed, there is one market that has been kept artificially afloat these past 5 years, and that is the bond market and the sovereign bond market. And it's been kept afloat by things like quantitative easing and by governments buying.
And that's the bubble you predicted will blow up by late April. Right.
This is the bubble that is yet to blow up, and it'll be the most spectacular bubble. Another development since we spoke last is that you've got two currencies that have been identified as possibly the next two currencies to go down an Argentinian-like rabbit hole of destruction. One is the Japanese yen, for the reasons we just discussed, and now people are talking about the British pound. So the British pound was seen as a safe haven, but now with the euro doing better, people are pulling out of the British pound, and you've got people like George Soros and other hedge fund managers publicly saying they are now in full attack mode against the British pound. And this means that the British pound's credit rating will be downgraded. And what's going to happen here in Britain, and why we moved to Britain, because we knew this was going to come, is they're going to have to have a full-scale currency debasement or downgrading, a revaluation by 30 or 40%, which means that inflation will skyrocket here. And it's already a huge problem, Alex. And here, the big story the past week has been about horse meat. They have discovered horse meat in all of the beef meat
That's how they're trying to keep inflation down, is debasing everything, and, you know, turning the cigarettes into sawdust and fake chocolate and synthetic gin, a.k.a. 1984.
Exactly. You also have a story about Maker's Mark whiskey, I guess it is, in the U.S. has been caught watering down their whiskey. But this is an inflation story where you see substitution for cheaper meats, in this case horse meat, for beef. And because the agricultural industry can't keep prices down anymore, they've gone through the genetically modified organism series of price deductions. They've gone through globalization and the price deductions. But starting 2 or 3 years ago and starting post-crisis and starting with that speculation that we've seen in agricultural commodities that led to the Arab Spring and the revolution in Egypt, food prices and fuel prices, gas prices, are now inescapably starting to edge higher in ways that are out of control. And it doesn't matter how much quantitative easing or any of these other programs are in place, the wheels are coming off.
Alex Jones here with a message that could revolutionize health in this country. Going back about 1.5 years ago, I began to learn about the incredible health effects of longevity products. Aaron Dykes lost 92 pounds. We're going to show you some before and afters. Aaron, break down what happened, your story.
I've worked really hard with diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but I just didn't get the results. It just didn't happen. Then I saw what you were doing with InfoWarsTeam.com. I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I got it because I wanted to feel better energy. I wanted that nutrition. Didn't even understand how that could kickstart my own weight loss goals. But the products did that for me. I found myself suddenly losing weight, more energetic, wanting to exercise, wanting to eat the right foods.
And they don't even advertise it as weight loss. I want to challenge our radio listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com, sign up as a distributor, and get wholesale pricing discounts at InfoWarsTeam.com.